Stuck at
Maya
mom's
stared
for
at her
dinner, love
phone,
you.
reading her husband's text. Stuck at mom's for dinner. Love you. She didn't
Enjoy
look
dinner
up.
with your mom.
Didn't need to. 3 tables away, Jordan had just pulled another woman into his arms, kissing her with the same passion he used to reserve for Maya. Her hands were steady as she typed back, "Enjoy dinner with your mom," and attached the photo she'd just taken. The sound of his phone hitting the floor echoed through the restaurant like a gunshot. "Welcome back, my wonderful family and friends. I am Mr. Zaha. Thanks for tuning in today." A kind words from a man who has seen it all. Marriage are not mostly bed of roses. Sometime you need more of. More of what? Can't say. Continue watching, and you will surely know what to do in situations like this. Kindly hit that subscribe button and drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from. Tomorrow, I'll be bringing you another exciting story you definitely don't want to miss. So let's get started. Maya Chin stood in the kitchen of their Georgetown townhouse, staring at the calendar on the refrigerator. Tuesday, date night. The standing reservation at Cafe Milano that Jordan had insisted they keep no matter how busy life got. Except he'd canceled. Again. "Babe, I'm so sorry," he'd said that morning, already dressed in his tailored suit, smelling of expensive cologne. "Emergency client meeting. I'll make it up to you this weekend, I promise." The 3rd cancellation this month. Maya had smiled, kissed him goodbye, told him she understood. But something in her chest had twisted. An intuition she'd been ignoring for weeks, maybe months. She was 32 years old, a successful architect at a prestigious DC firm, married to Jordan Reed, corporate lawyer, Georgetown graduate, the man who'd swept her off her feet 5 years ago with his confidence and ambition. Their life looked perfect on paper. Beautiful home, successful careers, the envy of their friend group. But lately, perfect had started to feel hollow. Maya couldn't pinpoint when things changed. It was subtle. Jordan working later. More client dinners. His phone always face down on the counter. The way he'd stopped really looking at her when they talked, his eyes always drifting to his screen. "You're being paranoid," her best friend Sophie had said last week over lunch. "Jordan adores you. Some marriages just hit quiet phases." Maybe. But Maya's instincts, the same ones that had guided her through complex architectural projects and difficult negotiations, were screaming that something was wrong. So that afternoon, when Jordan texted that he had to work late, Maya did something she'd never done before. She checked his location. They'd shared locations years ago for practical reasons, knowing when the other was close to home, coordinating pickups, the mundane logistics of marriage. Jordan had never turned his off. The blue dot pulsed on her screen. Not at his office. Not at a client site. Cafe Milano. Their restaurant. Their reservation. Maya's blood turned cold. There had to be an explanation. Maybe he was surprising her. Maybe the client meeting was there. Maybe. She grabbed her keys and drove into Georgetown, her heart hammering the entire way. Cafe Milano sat on Prospect Street, elegant and intimate, with soft lighting and Italian charm. Maya had parked across the street, hands gripping the steering wheel, telling herself she was being ridiculous. "Just walk in. You'll see him with clients. You'll feel stupid for doubting him. You'll laugh about this later." But her feet carried her to the entrance anyway. The hostess smiled. "Good evening. Do you have a reservation? I'm meeting someone. I'll just..." Maya gestured vaguely toward the dining room. Inside, the restaurant hummed with quiet conversation and clinking glasses. Couples leaned close over candlelight. The smell of garlic and wine hung in the air. Maya scanned the room, her architect's eye taking in every detail. The corner tables. The bar area. There. Jordan sat at a table near the window, the table they always requested. His back was to her, but she'd recognize that navy suit anywhere. He'd worn it this morning. And across from him sat a woman. Young, maybe 25. Long dark hair. Red dress. Laughing at something Jordan said, her hand reaching across the table to touch his. Maya's vision tunneled. Her breath caught in her throat. "It's a colleague. It's work. It's nothing." But then Jordan leaned forward, took the woman's hand, brought it to his lips, and Maya watched her marriage die in real time. She should have left, should have stormed over, should have done something. Instead, she found herself walking calmly to the hostess. "Actually, I'd like a table. Something quiet. In the back. Of course. Right this way." The hostess led her to a booth 3 tables away from Jordan. Perfect sight line. Close enough to see everything. Far enough to remain invisible. Maya ordered wine she wouldn't drink and a meal she couldn't eat. She pulled out her phone, angling it so the camera had a clear view of Jordan's table. And she watched. They were comfortable together. Easy. The body language of two people who'd done this before. Many times before. Jordan's hand on the small of her back when they'd first sat down. The way she leaned into him. The private jokes. The intimate glances. This wasn't a first date. This was a relationship. Maya's hand shook as she raised her wine glass. Not drinking, just needing something to hold. Something to keep her anchored while her world tilted off its axis. How long? How long had this been happening? She thought about the canceled date nights. The late meetings. The business trips that seemed to multiply. The way Jordan had stopped initiating sex. Always too tired or too stressed. All of it suddenly made perfect, devastating sense. Her phone buzzed. A text from Jordan. Stuck at mom's for dinner. Love you. Maya stared at the message. At the casualness of the lie. The ease with which he typed, love you, while sitting across from another woman. His mother lived in Baltimore, 90 minutes away. He'd used this excuse twice in the past month. Something cold and hard crystallized in Maya's chest. Not rage. Not yet. Something more precise. More controlled. She opened her camera app, zoomed in on Jordan's table, and took a photo. Crystal clear. Jordan's face visible. The woman's face visible. Their hands intertwined on the white tablecloth. The wine glasses. The intimacy. Evidence. Then she watched, waiting for the perfect moment. It came 5 minutes later. Jordan pulled the woman close, his hand cupping her face, and kissed her. Not a peck. A real kiss. The kind that spoke of passion and familiarity and promises made in darkness. Maya's finger was steady as she captured the moment. Then she opened Jordan's text thread and typed, enjoy dinner with your mom. She attached the photo. Sent. That moment when everything you suspected is confirmed in an instant, devastating and clarifying at the same time. Have you ever followed your gut, even when everyone told you not to? Share your experience in the comments. The seconds stretched like hours. Maya watched Jordan's table, watched him laugh at something the woman said, watched him reach for his phone when it buzzed, watched his face change. The smile froze, then crumbled. His hand went slack, and the phone dropped from his fingers, clattering onto the table. The woman jerked back, startled. Jordan's head whipped around, scanning the restaurant with wild, panicked eyes. Maya raised her wine glass in a small, silent toast. Their eyes met across the dining room. She watched the color drain from his face, watched recognition and horror and desperate calculation flash across his features in rapid succession. She set down her glass, placed 2 20s on her table, more than enough to cover the wine she hadn't touched, and stood. Jordan was already on his feet, stumbling toward her, leaving the woman confused and alone at their table. But Maya didn't wait, didn't give him the chance to explain or lie or manipulate. She walked out of Cafe Milano with her head high and her spine straight, leaving her husband scrambling in her wake. Outside, the November air hit her face, cold and clarifying. She walked to her car with measured steps, unlocked it, slid into the driver's seat. Only then, alone in the darkness, did her hands start to shake. Only then did the tears come. But even through the tears, through the devastation, Maya felt something else. Power. She'd caught him, exposed him, taken control of the narrative before he could spin it. And now, she was going to decide what happened next. Behind her, through the restaurant window, she could see Jordan still standing frozen near the door, the woman approaching him with questions written all over her face. Let them figure it out. Maya started her car and drove home, leaving them both behind. She had planning to do. Maya's hands were steady on the steering wheel during the drive home, but her mind raced through 1,000 thoughts at once. Each stoplight felt like an eternity. Each turn brought a new wave of realization about the lies she believed. How long? The question pounded through her skull like a drumbeat. She pulled into their driveway at 7:43 p.m. The house looked exactly as it had when she'd left. The porch light on, the tasteful landscaping perfectly maintained, the facade of their perfect life intact. Inside, Maya moved through the rooms like a ghost. She set her purse on the kitchen counter, turned on the lights, put on coffee she didn't want. Normal actions for an evening that had shattered her entire world. Her phone buzzed. Then again, and again. Jordan, Maya, please. Jordan, let me explain. Jordan, it's not what it looks like. Jordan, Baby, please answer me. Jordan, I'm coming home. Jordan, we need to talk. Maya turned her phone face down and stared at it. The device that had just delivered the proof of her husband's betrayal now vibrated with his desperate attempts at damage control. It's not what it looks like. She almost laughed. What else could it possibly look like? But the laughter died in her throat, replaced by something darker. She'd given this man 5 years of her life, trusted him completely, built a future with him, and he'd thrown it away for what? Excitement? Novelty? Some 25-year-old in a red dress who didn't know he had a wife waiting at home? Maya walked upstairs to their bedroom. Their bed, neatly made this morning. His nightstand with the photo of their wedding day. Both of them laughing, her in white, him in a tuxedo, looking at each other like the future held nothing but happiness. She picked up the frame, stared at the strangers they'd been. Who are you? She whispered to the man in the photo. Were you ever real? The front door slammed open downstairs. Maya, Jordan's voice, frantic and breathless. Maya, where are you? She set down the frame carefully and walked to the top of the stairs. Jordan stood in the foyer, his hair disheveled, his tie loose, his face flushed from running or panic or both. When he saw her, something like relief crossed his features. Thank God. Maya, listen. Stop. Her voice was quiet but sharp as a blade. Jordan froze mid-sentence. Maya descended the stairs slowly, each step measured. When she reached the bottom, she stood 3 feet away from him, close enough to see the fear in his eyes, far enough to maintain distance. Maya, I can explain. Can you? She tilted her head. Can you explain how you told me you were at your mother's house while you were kissing another woman at our restaurant? It's not. It's complicated. Is she complicated? Or am I? Jordan's mouth opened and closed. You don't understand. Then help me understand. Maya's voice remained eerily calm. Help me understand how the man who promised to love and cherish me ended up with his tongue down another woman's throat. Help me understand how many times you've lied to me. Help me understand how long this has been going on. Maya, how long? The silence stretched between them like a chasm. 6 months, Jordan finally whispered. 6 months. Maya felt the number hit her like a physical blow. 6 months of lies. 6 months of working late and client dinners, and I'm just tired, babe. Her name is Erin, Jordan continued, his words tumbling out in a desperate rush. She's a paralegal at the firm. It just happened. I never meant for it to go this far. I was going to end it, I swear. When? Maya interrupted. When were you going to end it? Before or after you kissed her at our favorite restaurant? Before or after you texted me that you were at your mother's house? I didn't know you'd be there. That's what you're worried about? Getting caught. Maya's laugh was bitter. Not that you're cheating. Not that you're destroying our marriage. Just that you got caught. No, that's not. Jordan ran his hands through his hair. I love you. I do. This thing with Erin, it doesn't mean anything. It meant enough for 6 months of your time. It was a mistake. A mistake is forgetting to pick up milk. Maya's voice finally rose. A mistake is double booking dinner plans. 6 months of fucking another woman is a choice, Jordan. A series of choices. Every single day, you chose her over me. Jordan's face crumpled. Please, we can fix this. Marriage counseling. I'll quit my job. Whatever you want. What I want. Maya stepped closer, her eyes blazing. I want my husband back. The one I married. The one who loved me. But he doesn't exist anymore, does he? Maybe he never did. That's not true, isn't it? She pulled out her phone, scrolling through their text history. Look at this. Working late again, don't wait up. That was a lie. Client dinner ran long. Lie. Mom needs help with something. Lie. She looked up at him. How many of these texts are real, Jordan? How much of our life is real? Jordan's jaw worked. Most of it. The important stuff. The important stuff, Maya repeated flatly. Is our marriage important? Was our wedding vow important? When you promised to forsake all others, was that important? I made a mistake. Stop calling it that. Maya's composure finally cracked. A mistake suggests it was accidental. Unintentional. You didn't accidentally fall into bed with her. You didn't accidentally take her to our restaurant. You didn't accidentally lie to me for 6 months. Jordan flinched at each word like they were blows. I'm sorry, he whispered. God, Maya, I'm so sorry. You're sorry you got caught. No. I'm sorry I hurt you. You're sorry now. Maya's voice dropped back to that dangerous calm. You weren't sorry yesterday. Or last week. Or last month. You were perfectly happy lying to me as long as I didn't know. She watched him struggle for words, watched him realize there was no explanation that would make this right. I need you to leave, she said quietly. What? No. Maya, this is our house. And right now, I can't breathe with you in it. She met his eyes. Pack a bag. Go to a hotel. Go to errands. I don't care. But you need to leave. Now. We need to talk about this. We just did. And I need time to think without you here, trying to manipulate me into forgiving you. I'm not trying to manipulate. Jordan. She cut him off. Everything you've done for 6 months has been manipulation. Every, I love you, while you were texting her. Every kiss while you were planning your next date. Every night you came home and pretended to be faithful. All of it was manipulation. Jordan's face went pale. That's not. I do love you. Then you have a really fucked up way of showing it. The profanity hung in the air. Maya almost never cursed. The fact that she had now spoke volumes about how deep her composure had fractured. Jordan seemed to realize he was losing ground. Okay, I'll go. But please, can we talk tomorrow? When you've had time to calm down. Calm down. Maya's laugh was hollow. You want me to calm down? I am calm, Jordan. I've been calm this entire conversation. You want to see me not calm? She pulled out her phone again, her fingers flying over the screen. Maya, what are you doing? Sending the photo to your mother. Since you claim to be at her house. Don't. Oh, and your brother. And my parents. And Sophie. She kept typing. And I'm posting it on Facebook. Let's see. What's a good caption? When your husband says he's at his mom's, but he's actually tongue deep in his coworker? Maya, please. Jordan lunged for her phone. She stepped back smoothly, holding it out of reach. Don't touch me. Something in her voice stopped him cold. This is what happens when you lie to me, she said quietly. You lose the right to ask me for discretion. You lose the right to control the narrative. You had 6 months to come clean. 6 months to do the right thing. Instead, you kept lying. So now, I get to tell the truth. Her finger hovered over the send button. Maya, Jordan's voice broke. Please, don't do this. My career. Your career. She stared at him in disbelief. You're worried about your career? My parents should know what kind of man their son is. Maya, I'm begging you. She lowered the phone slightly. Get out of my house. This is my house too. Get out. The steel in her voice left no room for argument. Jordan stood there for a long moment, looking at the woman he'd married and apparently no longer knew. Then he turned and climbed the stairs. Maya waited in the foyer, listening to him move around their bedroom, opening drawers, closing suitcases. Each sound felt like another nail in the coffin of their marriage. 15 minutes later, he came back down with a duffel bag and his work briefcase. He paused at the door. I love you. I know you don't believe me right now, but I do. Maya said nothing. I'll fix this, he continued. I'll do whatever it takes. Jordan. She finally looked at him. Really looked at him. The man I loved wouldn't have broken me like this. So maybe you do love me. But it doesn't matter anymore. Because I don't know if I love you back. She watched the words hit him like a slap. Don't contact me unless it's through a lawyer, she continued. I need time. And space. And you need to face what you've done. Jordan's eyes glistened. A lawyer? Maya, come on. Out. He opened his mouth, closed it, then turned and walked through the door. Maya locked it behind him. Engaged the deadbolt. Put on the chain. Then she slid down the door to the floor, wrapped her arms around her knees, and let herself finally, fully break. The moment when you realize the person you married isn't who you thought they were. When do you fight for the relationship, and when do you walk away? Drop it if you've been here. But even as the sobs tore through her, even as she felt her heart shatter into pieces, Maya knew something. She'd survived this. She'd chosen herself tonight. Chosen dignity over desperation. Chosen truth over the comfortable lie of pretending everything was fine. And tomorrow, she'd start figuring out what came next. But tonight, she let herself grieve the death of her marriage and the man she'd thought she'd spend forever with. Outside, Jordan's car started. The engine sound faded into the distance. Inside, Maya cried until she had no tears left. Then she stood up, wiped her face, and walked to her laptop. If she was going to end her marriage, she was going to do it right. She opened Google and typed, "Best divorce lawyers in Washington, D.C." Maya didn't sleep that night. She sat at the kitchen table until 3 a.m., her laptop screen glowing in the darkness, reading divorce law articles and lawyer reviews. Her coffee had gone cold hours ago, but she kept drinking it anyway, needing something to do with her hands. The house felt different without Jordan. Quieter, emptier, but also, and she hated herself a little for thinking it, cleaner somehow. Like his presence had been a stain she hadn't noticed until it was gone. Her phone sat face up beside her laptop. 43 missed calls. 67 text messages. All from Jordan. She hadn't read any of them. At 3:47 a.m., a new text came through. Not from Jordan. From Sophie. Sophie, are you okay? Jordan just called me freaking out. What happened? Maya stared at the message. Then typed, caught him cheating. 6 months. I'm filing for divorce. The response came immediately. Sophie, what? Sophie, I'm coming over. Sophie, don't argue. Sophie, be there in 20. Maya almost protested, but the truth was, she didn't want to be alone anymore. The silence of the house had started to feel suffocating, filled with ghosts of conversations that would never happen and a future that had evaporated. 23 minutes later, Sophie's key turned in the lock, the spare Maya had given her years ago for emergencies. This qualified. Sophie burst through the door in sweatpants and a Georgetown hoodie, her blonde hair in a messy bun, looking like she'd thrown on clothes in the dark, which she probably had. Oh, honey. She took one look at Maya's face and crossed the kitchen in 3 strides, wrapping her in a fierce hug. Maya had thought she was done crying. She was wrong. They sat on the couch as dawn broke over Georgetown, Maya recounting everything while Sophie listened with mounting horror and rage. That absolute piece of shit. Sophie spat when Maya finished. I'm going to kill him. Actually kill him. They'll never find the body. Get in line, Maya said, her voice raw from crying. 6 months. Sophie shook her head. Maya, I'm so sorry. I told you that you were being paranoid. I should have. Don't. Maya cut her off. You were being a good friend. Talking me down. I didn't want to believe it either. Sophie squeezed her hand. What do you need? Name it. Anything. A time machine? Fresh out. But I've got a baseball bat in my trunk and knowledge of several secluded locations. Maya almost smiled. Almost. I need to know how deep this goes, she said instead. The lies. The affair. All of it. Because if he's been lying about this for 6 months, what else has he lied about? Sophie's expression turned serious. You want to dig? I want to excavate. Okay. Sophie pulled out her phone. My cousin's a PI. Divorced her husband last year after he. Well, similar situation. She can recommend someone who specializes in this. They can pull phone records, credit card statements, all of it. Is that legal? You're married. Joint accounts, joint assets. You have a right to know what your money's been spent on. Sophie's eyes glinted. And trust me, Maya, if Jordan's been seeing this woman for 6 months, there's a paper trail. Maya thought about it. Part of her wanted to just walk away, file for divorce, and never look back. But another part, the part that had spent 5 years building a life with this man, needed to understand. Needed to know exactly what she was walking away from. Make the call, she said. By Thursday afternoon, Maya sat in a discreet office in DuPont Circle, meeting with Sarah Chun, a divorce attorney Sophie's cousin had recommended. Sarah was in her 50s, sharply dressed, with kind eyes that had clearly seen this story play out 1,000 times before. I've reviewed the initial information you sent, Sarah said, sliding a folder across her desk. And I want to start by saying I'm sorry you're going through this. But you've done exactly the right thing by coming here quickly. With each asset listed, Maya felt the weight of what she was about to dismantle. A life built over 5 years, reduced to line items on a legal pad. And you're sure you want to file immediately? Sarah asked. Some couples try separation first. I'm sure. Maya's voice was firm. He had 6 months to come clean. He chose not to. I'm choosing this. Sarah nodded approvingly. Good. Certainty will serve you well in what comes next. Now, about this photo you took. Maya pulled out her phone and showed her. Sarah studied it, her expression neutral. This is clear evidence of adultery. In Virginia, that matters. It can affect how the court views asset division, especially if we can prove he used marital funds to support this affair. How do we prove that? Credit card statements, bank withdrawals, hotel charges, restaurants, gifts. Sarah looked up. You mentioned you're hiring a private investigator? Sophie's helping me set that up. Good. The more documentation we have, the stronger your position. Virginia is technically a no-fault divorce state, but proving adultery can still influence outcomes, particularly with spousal support an asset division. Maya absorbed this. I don't want his money. I just want out. I understand the impulse, Sarah said gently. But you're entitled to what you've built together. Don't let anger or pride make you walk away from what's rightfully yours. You invested 5 years in this marriage. You deserve compensation for that, especially if he violated the terms of your partnership. Partnership. That's what it was supposed to be. Maya thought about all the times she'd supported Jordan's career moves, the dinner parties she'd hosted for his colleagues, the sacrifices she'd made to build their life. You're right, she said. I want what I'm owed. Sarah smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. It was the smile of a woman who'd fought these battles before and knew how to win them. Then let's make sure you get it. That night, Maya sat in her home office, the room she'd designed with built-in bookshelves and perfect natural light, and opened her laptop. The private investigator Sophie had recommended was named Marcus Webb, former FBI, now specializing in matrimonial investigations. He'd sent over a preliminary report that afternoon after Sophie had provided him with Jordan's basic information. Maya had been putting off reading it, some part of her afraid of what she'd find. But she needed to know, needed to understand the full scope of the betrayal. She opened the PDF. The first page was phone records. Jordan's calls and texts for the past 6 months, pulled from their shared cell plan that Maya, as the account holder, had legal access to. Her eyes scanned the data. Hundreds of calls to one number. Thousands of texts. All to Erin Morrison, the woman from the restaurant. Morrison. Maya's brain clicked. Morrison and Blake, the law firm where Jordan worked. She's a Morrison, Maya whispered to the empty room. She's the daughter of the founding partner. That explained how a 25-year-old paralegal could afford the designer clothes and expensive jewelry Maya had noticed in the photo. Daddy's money. It also explained why Jordan had been so panicked. He wasn't just having an affair with a coworker. He was having an affair with his boss's daughter. If this got out, his career wouldn't just take a hit. It would be over. Maya kept reading. Credit card statements showed a pattern. Expensive dinners at restaurants Maya had never been to. Hotel charges in Baltimore, Richmond, even New York. A jewelry purchase at Tiffany's for $3,200 in August. Maya had never received anything from Tiffany's. But the worst part was the dates. Their 5th wedding anniversary in July. Jordan had told Maya he had to work late, couldn't make their reservation. The credit card showed he'd been at the Four Seasons in Baltimore that night. With Erin. Maya's birthday in September. Jordan had taken her to dinner at a nice restaurant. Seemed distracted the whole time. 2 days later, there was a charge at the Peninsula Hotel in New York. Jordan had said he was there for a client deposition. He'd been with Erin. The holiday weekend in October when Jordan said he had to fly to Chicago for an emergency case. No flights to Chicago, but there were hotel charges in the Hamptons. Every special occasion, every milestone, every moment that should have been about their marriage, Jordan had been planning or recovering from time with another woman. Maya thought about their last anniversary dinner. How Jordan had seemed distant. How she'd tried to reach for his hand and he'd pulled away, checking his phone. How she'd gone home feeling lonely in her own marriage. Now she knew why. She scrolled through the rest of the report. Social media analysis showing Jordan and Erin had been friends on Instagram for 8 months, frequently liking and commenting on each other's posts. Email records from Jordan's personal Gmail showing dozens of exchanges that were decidedly not work-related. One email, dated 3 months ago, made Maya's stomach turn. From Jordan Reed. To Erin Morrison. Subject, tonight. Can't stop thinking about last weekend. You're all I think about anymore. This is getting complicated. Maya's been asking questions. I might need to be more careful for a while. But I can't stay away from you. You're like a drug. Meet me at our place tonight. 7 p.m. Always. J. Maya read it 3 times. Each time felt like swallowing glass. You're all I think about anymore. Not, you're important to me, or, I care about you. He was obsessed with this woman. Addicted to her. While his wife sat at home wondering why her husband barely looked at her anymore. The report went on for 47 pages. 6 months of lies, meticulously documented. Maya closed her laptop and sat in the darkness of her office. She'd wanted to know the truth. Now she had it. Every ugly detail. Jordan hadn't made a mistake. He hadn't slipped up once in a moment of weakness. He'd built an entire second life. Carefully. Deliberately. For half a year. While Maya had been planning their future, Jordan had been planning his exit. Her phone buzzed. Another text from Jordan. Jordan, please Maya. Let me see you. I need to explain. There's so much you don't know. Maya stared at the message. Then she opened the thread and scrolled up through his previous texts. 53 messages over the past 2 days, ranging from desperate apologies to angry accusations that she was overreacting, then back to pleading. The emotional manipulation was almost impressive in its transparency. He was cycling through every tactic: guilt, anger, promises, threats, trying to find the one that would work. But Maya wasn't the woman he'd left on Tuesday night. That woman had loved him, trusted him, believed in their marriage. This woman had spent the last 48 hours looking at documentation of exactly who her husband really was. She typed back, "I know about the hotels, the jewelry, the emails, all of it. My lawyer will be in touch. Don't contact me again." She hit send, then blocked his number. Her next text went to Sarah Chun, "I want to file tomorrow, and I want to go for everything he's afraid to lose." Sarah's response was almost immediate. "Come to my office at 9 a.m. Bring the PI report. We'll bury him." The moment you realize the betrayal runs deeper than you thought, that it wasn't just a mistake, but a calculated double life. Have you ever discovered something that made you see your past completely differently? Share below. Maya slept that night. Not well, but better than the previous 2 nights. Because anger, she was learning, was an excellent antidote to grief. And she had a lot of anger. Friday morning, Maya walked into Sarah Chen's office with a leather portfolio containing printouts of the entire PI report. She'd highlighted the most damning sections, organized them by category, cross-referenced dates with their shared calendar. She'd approached it like an architectural project. Systematic, thorough, precise. "Impressive," Sarah said, flipping through the documentation. "Most clients come in emotional and disorganized. You've basically built my case for me." "I'm an architect," Maya said. "I build things. Now I'm unbuilding one." Sarah's smile was sharp. "Then let's get to work." They spent the morning drafting the divorce petition. Irreconcilable differences. Adultery. A request for equitable distribution of marital assets, with consideration given to Jordan's violation of the marital contract through his affair. Maya signed her name at the bottom with steady hands. "We'll file this today," Sarah said. "He'll be served on Monday. Probably at his office, unless you want to." "His office is fine. Better than fine." Maya wanted Jordan's colleagues to see the process server walk up to his desk. Wanted Aaron and her father to know that Maya wasn't going quietly. "One more thing," Sarah said. "You need to prepare yourself. Once he's served, he's going to react. And based on these texts and emails, I'd say Jordan's not particularly stable right now. Do you feel safe?" Maya considered the question. Jordan had never been physically violent, but she'd also never seen him this desperate. "I'm changing the locks today," she said. "And my brother's staying with me this weekend." "Good." Sarah stood, extending her hand. "You're doing the right thing, Maya. I know it doesn't feel like it right now, but you're going to come through this stronger." Maya shook her hand. "I know, because I don't have any other choice." That afternoon, Maya did something she'd been putting off. She called Jordan's mother. Eleanor Reed answered on the 3rd ring. "Maya, sweetheart, I've been trying to reach you. Jordan said you two had a fight, but he won't tell me what about." "He didn't tell you?" Maya's voice was cold. "Did he tell you he's been having an affair for 6 months?" Silence. "Then what?" "I caught him at a restaurant on Tuesday. With another woman. He'd texted me that he was at your house for dinner." "That's, Maya, that can't be right. Jordan would never." "I have photos, Eleanor. I have credit card receipts. I have emails." Maya's voice cracked slightly. "I have 6 months of documented proof that your son has been lying to both of us." Another long silence. "Oh my God." Eleanor's voice wavered. "Maya, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. He's been telling me he's been busy with work. I had no idea. I'm filing for divorce. The papers will be served on Monday." "Divorce?" "Maya, wait. Surely you two can work this out." "Marriage counseling." "He used visiting you as an excuse to see her," Maya interrupted. "Multiple times. So no, Eleanor. We're not working this out. I'm done." She heard Eleanor start to cry on the other end of the line. "I'm sorry," Eleanor whispered. "I'm so sorry, Maya. You deserved better than this. You deserved better than him." It was the validation Maya needed. Even Jordan's own mother knew what he'd done was unforgivable. "Thank you," Maya said softly. "I should go." "Wait," Eleanor's voice steadied. "If you need anything at all, you call me, you hear? You're still family to me. no matter what Jordan's done. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. Thank you, Eleanor. That means more than you know. After she hung up, Maya sat on her couch and realized something. She wasn't just losing Jordan. She was losing his whole family. His parents, who'd welcomed her with open arms. His brother, who'd become a friend. The nieces and nephews she'd watched grow up. The affair hadn't just destroyed her marriage. It had destroyed an entire network of relationships she'd built over 5 years. And Jordan had done it without a second thought. The rage that had been simmering since Tuesday night suddenly ignited into something white-hot and consuming. Maya pulled out her laptop and opened Facebook. She'd been debating whether to post the photo. Sarah had advised against it. Let the courts handle it, she'd said. But Maya was tired of protecting Jordan. Tired of keeping his secrets. He'd humiliated her. Let him feel what that was like. She uploaded the photo from the restaurant. Jordan and Aaron, kissing. Clear. Undeniable. Caption: when you text your wife that you're at your mom's house, but you're actually at your favorite restaurant with your coworker of 6 months. Remember, ladies, always trust your gut. She tagged Jordan. Hit post. Then she turned off her phone and went upstairs to pack up all of Jordan's remaining belongings. Let him deal with the fallout. She was done protecting him from the consequences of his choices. Maya's Facebook post went viral over the weekend. Not internet famous viral, but Georgetown social circle viral, which in some ways was worse. By Saturday morning, it had been shared 247 times, commented on by hundreds of people, and screenshot across every local social media platform. Her phone, once she turned it back on, exploded with messages. Friends offering support. Acquaintances she hadn't spoken to in years suddenly sliding into her DMs with their own infidelity stories. 3 different reporters asking for interviews. And one message that made her blood run cold. Unknown number. You just destroyed my life. I hope you're happy. Not from Jordan. From Aaron. Maya stared at the message for a long moment. Then typed back. I destroyed your life? You fucked my husband for 6 months. Block me and move on. She blocked the number before Aaron could respond. But the text had unsettled her. Because it revealed something Maya hadn't fully considered. Aaron hadn't known the full extent of Jordan's lies either. She'd probably been told Maya didn't understand him, that the marriage was already over, that he was planning to leave anyway. Classic affair playbook. Make the wife the villain so the mistress doesn't feel guilty. Sophie came over Saturday afternoon with wine and Thai food, plopping down on Maya's couch like she lived there. You broke the internet, Sophie announced, pulling out her phone. The post has reached Morrison and Blake. Apparently, there was an emergency partner meeting yesterday. Your husband is officially fucked. Good, Maya said flatly. No, I mean really fucked. Patrick Morrison, Aaron's dad, is apparently losing his mind. Word is Jordan's on administrative leave pending an internal investigation. Something about ethics violations and workplace conduct. Sophie grinned. Turns out banging the boss's daughter is frowned upon in corporate law. Who knew? Maya should have felt triumphant. This was what she wanted, wasn't it? Jordan facing consequences? But instead, she felt hollow. I think I broke her too, Maya said quietly. Aaron? Fuck Aaron. She's 25, sophomore. She probably believed whatever he told her. That I was cold, or we were already separated, or... Maya shook her head. I'm not defending her. She still made a choice. But Jordan's 34. He knew exactly what he was doing. Sophie studied her friend. You're too good, you know that? Even now, you're trying to see everyone's perspective. I'm an architect. I'm trained to see all angles. Maya took a long drink of wine. Doesn't mean I forgive either of them. Just means I understand the math of how we got here. Her phone buzzed. Sarah Chun. Sarah, Jordan's lawyer just called. He wants to meet. Mediation before the papers are officially served. He's willing to concede significant assets if you take down the post and sign an NDA. Maya read the message twice, then showed it to Sophie. He wants to buy your silence, Sophie said. Typical. Maya, how significant? Sarah, the townhouse, his full 401k, and a $200,000 settlement. He keeps the beach condo and his partnership stake at the firm, assuming they don't fire him. Sophie whistled. That's a lot of money to keep you quiet. It was more than Maya expected to get from the divorce. Enough to buy out Jordan's half of the townhouse, plus a substantial nest egg. But it came with strings. An NDA meant she couldn't talk about the affair. Couldn't post about it. Couldn't tell people what he'd done. It meant protecting him. Again. Maya, what do you recommend? Sarah, financially? Take it. Legally? You'll probably get less if we go to trial, and trials are expensive and exhausting. Emotionally? That's your call. You'd have to delete the post and never speak publicly about this again. Maya set down her phone and looked at Sophie. What would you do? Sophie didn't hesitate. Tell him to go fuck himself. But I'm petty and vindictive, and you're trying to be the bigger person. I'm not trying to be anything. I'm just trying to survive this. Then what do you want more? Sophie asked. Money, or the freedom to tell the truth? That was the question, wasn't it? Maya thought about the post. The comments from other women sharing their stories. The messages from friends saying her honesty gave them courage to leave their own bad relationships. She'd become an accidental spokesperson for betrayed wives everywhere. But she also thought about the practical reality. $200,000 and the townhouse meant security. Meant she could breathe. Meant she wouldn't have to fight a long, expensive legal battle. I want to meet with him, Maya said finally. Face to face. Before I decide. Sophie's eyes widened. Are you sure that's a good idea? No. But I need to look him in the eye and hear him try to justify this. I need to see who he really is without the curtain. So I have to pretend it never happened, Maya said flatly. You have to move forward discreetly. Phelps corrected. The NDA simply prevents. It prevents me from telling the truth. Maya finally looked at Jordan. That's what you want. To buy my silence. Maya, please. Jordan's voice was hoarse. I'm trying to make this right. The money, the house, you deserve all of it. I can't have my whole life destroyed over a mistake. There's that word again. Mistake. Maya leaned forward. Jordan, look at me. He did. His eyes were red-rimmed, desperate. Did you love her? Maya asked. The room went silent. Maya, that's not. Phelps began. I'm not asking you. Maya cut him off, her eyes still locked on Jordan. Did you love her? Jordan's jaw worked. I thought I did. In the moment. But it wasn't real. It was just what? Excitement? Novelty? An ego boost? All of it, Jordan whispered. I was an idiot. I got caught up in the attention, the thrill of it. She made me feel young and important, and he stopped himself. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. What matters is that I destroyed the best thing in my life for something that wasn't even real. Maya absorbed this. You're right. It doesn't matter. Because whether you loved her or not, you stopped loving me. Maybe you never did. That's not true, isn't it? Maya's voice was sharp. Because when you love someone, you don't lie to them for 6 months. You don't use their trust as a weapon. You don't take them to dinner on their birthday while planning your next hotel weekend with someone else. Jordan flinched. I know. God, Maya, I know. I was selfish and cruel, and his voice broke. I would do anything to take it back. Anything. But you can't, Maya said quietly. That's the thing about betrayal, Jordan. You can't unring that bell. You can't unknow what I know now. Can't unfeel what I felt when I watched you kiss her. She paused. Can't unbecome the person who sat 3 tables away and realized her marriage was a lie. Tears rolled down Jordan's face. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Maya felt her own eyes burn, but she blinked the tears back. Are you sorry for what you did? Or sorry you got caught? Both, Jordan admitted. At first, I was just panicked about getting caught. But Maya, these past 5 days without you, I've realized what I lost. You're the best person I know. You're brilliant and kind, and he choked on the words. I don't deserve you. I never did. But please don't let my mistake define the rest of your life. Take the money. Take the house. Take everything. Just let me try to fix what I broke. You can't fix this, Maya said. Some things, once broken, stay broken. She looked down at the settlement offer. $200,000. The townhouse. Financial security. All she had to do was stop telling the truth. Sarah leaned over and whispered, Maya, I know this is emotional. But financially, this is an excellent offer. We're unlikely to get better terms in court. Maya knew she was right. This was the smart choice. The practical choice. But something in her rebelled against it. She thought about the women who'd messaged her after the Facebook post. The ones who'd said, thank you for speaking up. The ones who'd shared their own stories of betrayal and recovery. She thought about the younger version of herself who'd ignored red flags and excused suspicious behavior because she wanted to believe in her marriage. What would she tell that version of herself now? Take the money and be quiet? Or stand up and say, this happened, and it wasn't okay? Maya picked up the settlement document, and set it down in front of Jordan. "No," she said. The room went very still. "Maya," Sarah started. "No," Maya repeated, her voice stronger. "I'm not signing this." Jordan's face went pale. "Please. Maya, please think about this." "I have thought about it." She stood. "You want me to take money in exchange for pretending you didn't spend 6 months lying to me? Pretending you didn't humiliate me? Pretending you didn't use our marriage as a cover while you built a life with someone else?" She shook her head. "I won't do it." "You're throwing away $200,000, Phelps said sharply. "Over pride." "No," Maya corrected. "Over principle. There's a difference." She turned to Sarah. "File the papers. We're going through with the divorce as originally planned. No NDA. No settlement. We'll let the court decide what I'm entitled to." "Maya, be reasonable." Jordan was on his feet now. "I'm being perfectly reasonable." Maya finally let herself look at him. Really look at him. At this man she'd loved, who'd become a stranger. "You made choices, Jordan. You chose to cheat. You chose to lie. And now I'm choosing not to protect you from the consequences. This will ruin me," Jordan said desperately. "The firm, my career, my reputation. Then you should have thought about that before you fucked someone else." The profanity felt good. Sharp. Final. "You don't get to cheat and then demand that I help you preserve your image. You did this to yourself." The post stays up. Maya's voice was steel. "Along with every other truth I want to tell. You want to fight me in court? Fine. Let's see how that goes when I testify about the hotels and the jewelry and the emails where you called another woman the love of your life." Jordan went white. "You read those? All of them?" My PI was very thorough. She watched him realize the full scope of what was about to happen. His dirty laundry, aired in open court. His affair documented in legal filings that would be public record. His career at Morrison and Blake over. His reputation destroyed. All because he couldn't keep his dick in his pants and his lies straight. "Maya, please," Jordan's voice broke. "I'm begging you. I'll do anything. There's nothing you can do." Maya picked up her purse. "You had chances to do the right thing, Jordan. 6 months of chances. You didn't take any of them. So now, I'm doing what's right for me." She walked toward the door, then paused and looked back. "Oh, and Jordan, tell Erin I hope she was worth it. Because she cost you everything." She walked out, leaving Jordan standing in the conference room, finally facing the full weight of what he'd destroyed. The moment when you choose self-respect over convenience, when the smart choice feels wrong and the hard choice feels right. Have you ever walked away from something everyone told you to take? Drop it if you chose yourself. Outside Sarah's office, Maya leaned against the building and took a shaky breath. Her hands were trembling. Her heart was racing. She'd just turned down $200,000 and guaranteed herself a lengthy court battle. Sarah followed her out. "Maya, are you sure about this? We can go back in there." "I'm sure." Maya looked at her lawyer. "What am I really giving up? Some money? I'll earn more. I'm good at what I do. But if I sign that NDA, I give up my voice. My story. My truth. And I've already given him 5 years. I'm not giving him that too." Sarah studied her for a long moment, then smiled. "You know what? Good for you. Most people take the money. But you're right. You can't put a price on being able to tell the truth about what happened to you. How bad is the court battle going to be? Ugly. He'll fight for the assets now. Try to paint you as vindictive and unreasonable. It'll take longer and cost more." Sarah's expression turned fierce. "But we'll win. Because the truth is on our side, and the documentation is irrefutable. He committed adultery using marital funds. The court will see that." Maya nodded. "Then let's do it. The right way? The honest way." "One more thing," Sarah said. "That Facebook post. It's been shared over 1,000 times now. You've become something of a symbol. Women are calling you brave." "I don't feel brave," Maya admitted. "I feel terrified and angry," and she stopped. "But also free. For the first time in months, I feel free." Sarah squeezed her arm. "That's what matters. Now go home. Rest. Let me handle the legal warfare. That's what you pay me for." Maya smiled weakly. "Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for being the kind of client who reminds me why I became a divorce lawyer in the first place." Sarah's eyes glinted. "Now let's go destroy your ex-husband's life. Legally and thoroughly." Maya drove home through Georgetown, the autumn sun filtering through the trees. Her phone buzzed constantly with messages, some supportive, some critical, some from reporters still trying to get a statement. She ignored all of them. When she pulled into her driveway, she sat in the car for a moment, looking at the townhouse. Her townhouse now. Whether the court gave it to her, or she bought Jordan out, this was hers. She'd built a life here. And now she'd build a different one. Without Jordan. Without lies. Without constantly wondering if her husband was where he said he was, or who he said he was with. Her phone rang. "Sophie, please tell me you didn't take the money." "Sophie," said the moment Maya answered. "I didn't take the money." Sophie hooped. "That's my girl. God, I wish I could have seen his face." It was pretty satisfying, Maya admitted. Also terrifying. "I just turned down $200,000, sophomore." "You turned down a gag order." "Big difference." Sophie's voice softened. "How are you feeling?" "Like I just jumped off a cliff without knowing if there's water at the bottom." "There is. And I'm down here with a flotation device and expensive wine." "You're going to be okay, Maya." "Better than okay. You're going to be fucking triumphant." Maya laughed despite everything. "When did you become such an optimist?" "When my best friend became a badass who looks her cheating husband in the eye and tells him to fuck off." "You inspired me." "You turned down a gag order." "Big difference." Sophie's voice softened. "How are you feeling?" "Like I just jumped off a cliff without knowing if there's water at the bottom." "There is. And I'm down here with a flotation device and expensive wine." "You're going to be okay, Maya." "Better than okay. You're going to be fucking triumphant." Maya laughed despite everything. "When did you become such an optimist?" "When my best friend became a badass who looks her cheating husband in the eye and tells him to fuck off." "You inspired me." After they hung up, Maya walked into her house and looked around. It felt different now. Lighter. Like Jordan's presence had been a weight she hadn't recognized until it was gone. She made tea, sat on the couch, opened her laptop. The Facebook post was still there, the comments now in the thousands. Women sharing their stories. Men condemning Jordan's behavior. A few trolls saying she should have handled it privately, but they were drowned out by the overwhelming support. Maya started reading the comments. Really reading them. "Thank you for having the courage to expose him. My ex did the same thing, and I stayed silent. I regret it every day. You are an inspiration. My daughter is going through something similar, and I sent her your post. You gave her the strength to leave. I'm a man, and I'm disgusted by what he did. You deserve so much better. This is exactly what my husband did. Seeing your strength helps me remember mine. Thank you." Maya felt tears slip down her face. Not tears of sadness this time. Tears of recognition. She wasn't alone. Thousands of women had been where she was. Had felt what she felt. Had faced the same impossible choice between dignity and discretion. And by choosing to speak up, she'd given them permission to do the same. Maybe that was worth more than $200,000. Maya wiped her eyes and pulled up a blank document. She'd always been good at writing. Architectural proposals, project descriptions, client presentations. Clear, precise communication. Now she'd use those skills for something different. She started typing. "The day I chose myself. What happens when you catch your husband cheating?" The words poured out. The whole story, from the moment she'd seen Jordan's location at Cafe Milano to this afternoon's meeting where she'd turned down his settlement offer. She wrote about the lies, the betrayal, the grief of losing not just a husband, but the future she'd imagined. But she also wrote about the unexpected strength she'd found, the clarity that came from choosing truth over comfort, the power of looking at the wreckage of her marriage and saying, "I deserve better than this." 3 hours later, she had a 2,500-word essay. Raw, honest, unflinching. She read it through twice, made some edits, then posted it as a note on Facebook. Within an hour, it had been shared 500 times. Within 3 hours, a literary agent had messaged her asking if she'd ever considered writing a book. Within 6 hours, Maya Chun had become the voice of divorced women everywhere who were tired of protecting the men who'd hurt them. And somewhere in Georgetown, Jordan Reed was realizing that turning down his settlement offer was the least of his problems. His ex-wife had found her power, and she was just getting started. 6 months later, Maya stood in the living room of her Georgetown townhouse. Her townhouse, legally and completely, watching the morning light filter through the new curtains she'd installed last month. Everything was different now. The furniture was rearranged. Jordan's heavy leather couch replaced with a cream sectional she'd chosen herself. The dark wood coffee table swapped for glass and brass. The walls, once a conservative beige, now painted a soft sage green that made the space feel open and alive. She'd erased him from every corner. Not out of spite, though there had been plenty of that in the early days, but out of necessity. This was her space now. her life, and it needed to reflect who she was becoming, not who she'd been. Her phone buzzed. Sophie. Sophie, coffee before your meeting? You're going to crush it, by the way. Maya, already caffeinated. But yes to moral support. 20 minutes? Sophie, see you there. Wear the power suit. Maya smiled and headed upstairs to her bedroom. Redecorated 6 weeks ago with white linens and plants and a reading nook by the window where she'd spent countless hours rebuilding herself. She pulled out the navy suit Sophie met. The one she'd bought after the divorce was finalized. The one that made her feel like the woman she was becoming. Stronger, sharper, done apologizing for taking up space. Today was important. Today, she was meeting with a publisher about the book that had accidentally emerged from her Facebook essay. Unbroken. How I Survived Betrayal and Found Myself Again had started as a memoir pitch. A literary agent named Rebecca Walsh had reached out the week after Maya's essay went viral, suggesting they turn her story into something bigger. Women need this, Rebecca had said over coffee in February. Not just the catharsis of your anger, though that's powerful, but the roadmap of how you rebuilt. That's the part most divorce memoirs skip. They end at the revenge or the heartbreak. You're showing what comes after. Maya had been skeptical. She wasn't a writer. She was an architect who'd accidentally found a voice when her marriage exploded. But Rebecca had been insistent. You're a storyteller. You just use buildings instead of words. This is the same thing. You're constructing a narrative, creating something that shelters people who are going through their own storms. So Maya had spent the past 4 months writing. Early mornings before work, weekends in coffee shops, late nights when the memories were too vivid to sleep anyway. She'd written about the affair, the lies, the devastating moment in the restaurant. But she'd also written about what came after, the legal battle, the social media storm, the slow reconstruction of her identity. And most importantly, she'd written about the unexpected gifts that came from devastation, the friendships that deepened, the career opportunities that emerged, the version of herself she'd discovered when she stopped trying to be someone's wife and started being fully herself. The book proposal had gone out to publishers 3 weeks ago. Today, she was meeting with the editor from Bennett and Cross who'd made an offer. A real offer. With an advance that would cover a year's mortgage. For a book about the worst thing that had ever happened to her. Maya fastened her pearls, her grandmother's, not a gift from Jordan, and studied herself in the mirror. She looked different than she had 6 months ago. Thinner, but in a healthy way. She'd started running. Found that the physical exhaustion helped quiet the mental chaos. Her hair was shorter, cut into a sharp bob that framed her face. Her eyes were clearer. She looked like someone who'd walked through fire and come out forged instead of burned. The coffee shop where Maya met Sophie was a new place in DuPont Circle, far from any restaurant she and Jordan had frequented. She'd been strategic about that, avoiding their old haunts, building new routines in new spaces. Fresh starts required fresh geography. Sophie was already there, sitting at a corner table with 2 lattes and a confidence that came from watching her best friend emerge from hell victorious. Look at you, Sophie said as Maya sat down. About to become a published author. How does it feel? Surreal, Maya admitted. 6 months ago, I was sitting in a lawyer's office turning down $200,000. Now I'm about to sign a book deal worth almost as much. Karma's a beautiful bitch. Sophie raised her latte in a toast. To choosing dignity over hush money. Maya clinked her cup against Sophie's. How's the dating app project going? Sophie had launched a startup in March, a dating app specifically for divorced women, with built-in red flag detection and community vetting. She'd been inspired by Maya's story and funded by a venture capital firm run by divorced women. We launch beta next month. Already have 10,000 people on the wait list. Sophie grinned. Turns out there's a huge market for dating apps that actually protect women from lying assholes. Who knew? Everyone who's ever been on a dating app. Exactly. Sophie's expression turned more serious. Have you heard anything? About him? Maya didn't need to ask who him was. Eleanor texts me sometimes. She's still mortified. Maya took a sip of her latte. Jordan's working at a small firm in Bethesda. He and Aaron broke up. Apparently, once the affair became public knowledge, the fantasy couldn't survive reality. Shocking, Sophie said dryly. He's dating someone new. According to Eleanor, she's age-appropriate and very nice. Maya made air quotes. I think his mom's hoping I'll care. Do you? Maya considered the question honestly. No. I used to check his social media obsessively. Needed to know what he was doing, who he was with. But around month 4, I realized I'd gone a week without thinking about him. Then 2 weeks. Now, she shrugged. He's just someone I used to know who made bad choices. He's not the villain in my story anymore. He's just irrelevant. That's growth right there. Sophie checked her watch. You need to get going. Your meeting's in 20 minutes. Maya stood, smoothing her suit. Wish me luck. You don't need luck. You need a damn good lawyer to negotiate that contract. Sophie hugged her. But good luck anyway. Call me after. We're celebrating tonight regardless. The offices of Bennett and Cross Publishing occupied the 10th floor of a building overlooking Connecticut Avenue. Maya had been here once before for the initial meeting with the editor, Caroline Brennan, but today felt different. Today felt real. Caroline met her in the lobby, a woman in her 50s with silver-streaked hair and the confident ease of someone who'd shepherded hundreds of books into the world. Maya, come in, come in. Caroline led her to a corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows. We're all so excited about this project. The team's been buzzing since we read your proposal. They sat across from each other, a contract between them on the glass desk. I want to be transparent, Caroline said. This isn't a huge advance by New York standards, but it's solid for a first book, especially a memoir. And more importantly, we believe in this story. We think it's going to resonate. Maya looked at the number on the contract. $175,000. Split over 3 payments. On signing, on manuscript delivery, on publication. It wasn't the $200,000 Jordan had offered, but it was close. And it came without conditions, without silence, without shame. The timeline is aggressive, Caroline continued. We'd want the full manuscript by October. That gives us time for edits and a spring release. Mother's Day season, perfect for books about female resilience. I can do October, Maya said. She'd already written 60 pages. The story was there, urgent and alive in her head. She just needed time to get it all down. Excellent. Caroline pulled out a pen. Any questions before we sign? Maya had prepared for this moment. Had consulted with Sophie's lawyer friend about contract terms and rights and royalties. But sitting here, looking at the document that would transform her private devastation into public testimony, she had only one question. Will it help people? She asked. Really help them? Or is it just trauma porn for people who like reading about other people's misery? Caroline's expression softened. I've been in publishing for 28 years. I've seen every kind of memoir. The ones that exploit pain for shock value. The ones that wallow in victimhood. The ones that weaponize suffering. She leaned forward. Yours isn't any of those. Yours is a roadmap. You're not just telling people what happened. You're showing them how you survived it. How you chose yourself. How you built something better from the wreckage. That's not trauma porn. That's testimony. Maya felt something tight in her chest release. Then let's do this. She signed her name on the contract, each stroke of the pen feeling like a small revolution. That evening, Sophie threw an impromptu celebration at her apartment. Just close friends, the people who'd held Maya together during the worst of it. There was Sophie, of course, and Marcus, Maya's brother, who'd stayed with her those first awful weeks, and 3 women from Maya's architecture firm who'd become confidants through the divorce, and 2 women Maya had met through divorce support groups who'd become unexpected friends. No one from her old life. No one who tried to convince her to work it out with Jordan or suggested she was overreacting. Maya had learned, through this experience, that sometimes you had to burn down your social circle to find out who your real friends were. These people had earned their place at her table. To Maya, Sophie raised her glass. Who turned her worst day into her greatest comeback? To Maya, everyone echoed. Maya felt tears prick her eyes, happy tears this time, a feeling that still surprised her. 6 months ago, she hadn't been sure she'd ever feel genuine happiness again. Thank you, she said, her voice thick. All of you, for not letting me disappear into the grief. For reminding me who I was when I forgot. You never forgot, Marcus said quietly. You just needed time to remember. Later, after everyone had left and Sophie was cleaning up, Maya stood on the balcony looking out over the city. The lights of DC sparkled in the darkness. Thousands of stories unfolding simultaneously, some ending, some beginning, all of them matching to someone. You good? Sophie joined her, handing over a glass of wine. I'm good, Maya said, and meant it. It's weird, right? Being happy after everything. It's not weird. It's just different than I expected. Maya took a sip of wine. I thought happiness would be this triumphant thing. This big fuck you to Jordan where I'm obviously thriving and he's obviously suffering. But it's not that. It's quieter. It's waking up and not immediately thinking about him. It's making plans that are just for me. It's realizing I like who I'm becoming more than who I was. Sophie smiled. That's the best revenge. Becoming someone better without him than you ever were with him. It's not even about revenge anymore, Maya admitted. It's just growth. Evolution. Survival. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment. Can I ask you something? Sophie said. Do you ever regret not taking the settlement? The NDA and the money. Maya thought about it. Really thought about it. Some days, she said honestly. When the legal bills came in. When the court battle dragged on. When I was exhausted from depositions and document requests. She paused. But then I think about what I would have given up. My voice. My story. My ability to tell other women that they're not alone. And I realize I made the right choice. Not the easy choice, but the right one. Even though you ended up with less money, I ended up with something better. I ended up with myself. 6 months can change everything, but only if you choose yourself first. What's one thing you've had to walk away from to become who you needed to be? Share your story. 3 months later, Maya sat in a bookstore in Georgetown, Politics and Prose, her favorite, reading from the advance copy of her book. The event had been scheduled for 50 people. 200 showed up. They filled every chair, sat on the floor, stood in the back. Women of all ages, some with their daughters, some with their friends, some alone. Maya read from chapter 7, the chapter about the restaurant, the text, the photo. Her voice was steady now. She'd told this story so many times in the past year that it had lost some of its power to hurt her. It was just facts now. Things that happened, not things that defined her. When she finished reading, the room was silent. Then someone started clapping, and someone else. And suddenly the entire bookstore was applauding, and Maya was crying, and women were coming up to hug her, to thank her, to share their own stories. You gave me the courage to leave, one woman whispered. I sent your essay to my daughter, another said. She's filing for divorce next week. Thank you for telling the truth, a third added. Thank you for not protecting him. Maya stayed for 3 hours, signing books and listening to stories and bearing witness to the collective pain and strength of women who'd been betrayed and survived. When the last person left, the bookstore manager approached her. We've never seen a turnout like this for a debut memoir. Your book is going to do very well. Maya looked at the empty chairs, still feeling the presence of all those women. I hope so. Not for me. For them. On the drive home, Maya's phone rang. An unknown number. She almost didn't answer. She'd learned to be cautious about random calls since the Facebook post had gone viral. But something made her pick up. Maya-chun. Yes. This is Dr. Patricia Owens from Georgetown University. I'm the director of the Women's Studies program. I'm calling because we'd love to have you speak to our students about your book and your experience. We're doing a series on modern feminism and economic independence, and your story fits perfectly. Maya pulled over to the side of the road. You want me to speak? At Georgetown. If you're interested, we can offer an honorarium, of course. And it would be a great opportunity to reach young women before they make some of the choices that, Patricia paused. I'm not saying your marriage was a mistake, but your response to its ending, your insistence on transparency and self-advocacy, that's something we want our students to understand. I'd be honored, Maya said. They discussed dates and logistics, but Maya was only half listening. She was thinking about her 22-year-old self, fresh out of college, meeting Jordan for the first time, and thinking he was everything she wanted. If someone had told that Maya what was coming, would she have made different choices? Maybe. Or maybe she needed to go through this exact experience to become the woman she was now. Thank you for this opportunity, Maya said when Patricia finished. Really? Thank you. After they hung up, Maya sat in her car for a moment, watching the city move around her. She thought about Jordan. Wondered, briefly, if he'd heard about the book. If he'd read it. If he regretted anything beyond getting caught. Then she realized it didn't matter. His regret or lack thereof had nothing to do with her anymore. She'd built a life he wasn't part of. A career he couldn't touch. A happiness he hadn't given her and couldn't take away. She was free. Maya started her car and drove home. To the townhouse that was hers. To the life she'd built from rubble. To the future that was entirely her own. 1 year after the restaurant, Maya stood in front of her bathroom mirror, getting ready for a date. It still felt strange. The idea of dating, of trusting someone new, of opening herself up to potential hurt again. But Sophie had been insistent. You can't let one asshole ruin the possibility of connection forever. You're 33. You're brilliant. You deserve to be loved by someone who actually deserves you. So Maya had cautiously, tentatively, joined a dating app. Not Sophie's, that felt weird, but a regular one where she'd created a profile that was honest about who she was. Divorced, published author, fiercely independent. She'd gone on 3 dates in the past 2 months. 2 had been pleasant, but unmemorable. The third had been with a woman named Sarah, a landscape architect who'd read Maya's book and wanted to buy her coffee. That coffee had turned into dinner. Dinner had turned into a museum trip. The museum trip had turned into long phone conversations and text chains, and something that felt, tentatively, like possibility. Tonight was their 4th date. Sarah was cooking dinner at her apartment in Adams Morgan. Maya studied herself in the mirror. Blue dress, minimal makeup, hair down and loose. She looked happy. Not the manic, forced happiness of someone trying to prove they'd moved on. Real happiness. The kind that came from feeling whole. Her phone buzzed. Sarah, can't wait to see you. Making that pasta you mentioned. Wine is already open. Maya smiled and typed back, on my way. Fair warning. I'm going to eat all the garlic bread. Sarah, I'm counting on it. As Maya grabbed her keys and headed out, she passed the framed cover of her book hanging in the hallway. Unbroken had been out for 3 months now. It was selling well, better than anyone expected. She'd done interviews on podcasts and morning shows. Women stopped her on the street to thank her. But the best part was the letters. Hundreds of them. From women who'd read her story and found the courage to leave bad marriages, to speak up about abuse, to choose themselves. Maya had kept every single one. Because that's what her devastation had created, permission. For other women to be honest about their pain. To demand better. To walk away from men who didn't deserve them. Jordan had taken a lot from her. 5 years. Her trust. Her belief in happily ever after. But in destroying her marriage, he'd inadvertently given her something she never would have found otherwise. Her voice. Her purpose. Her unbreakable self. And that, Maya had learned, was worth more than any settlement. She locked her door and headed to her car, ready for whatever came next. The restaurant, the lie, the photo, all of it had happened exactly 1 year ago. But Maya Chun was no longer the woman who'd sat 3 tables away, heartbroken and devastated. She was someone new, someone stronger, someone who'd learned that the best revenge wasn't anger or exposure or making your ex-husband suffer. The best revenge was building a life so good, so full, so authentically yours, that the person who hurt you became nothing more than a footnote in your origin story. Maya drove through Georgetown, the city glittering around her, and smiled. She'd survived. She'd thrived. She'd won. Not because Jordan lost, but because she'd finally, fully, found herself. Your story doesn't end with betrayal. It begins again with the choice to rebuild. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear that they're stronger than they think. And if you're in the middle of your own storm right now, you're going to make it through. I promise. The email arrived on a Tuesday morning while Maya was reviewing blueprints for a new community center in Southeast DC, her first major project as a junior partner at the firm. I read your book. Maya stared at the sender name for a long moment. 2 years. She hadn't heard from him since the divorce was finalized. Hadn't thought about him in months. She almost deleted it without reading. But curiosity, and perhaps the need for closure she didn't know she still wanted, made her click. Maya, I know I have no right to contact you. I know the divorce decree said no contact unless legally necessary. This isn't legally necessary. But I read your book, and I needed to say something. You were right about everything. I was selfish. I was cruel. I destroyed the best thing in my life because I was too immature to appreciate what I had. I've spent the past 2 years in therapy trying to understand why I did what I did, and the truth is simple. I was broken, and I broke you in the process. I'm not writing to ask for forgiveness. I don't deserve that. I'm writing because your book made me realize something I should have said 2 years ago. I'm sorry. Not sorry I got caught. Sorry for what I did. Sorry for the lies. Sorry for using your trust as a weapon. Sorry for everything. You deserved better than me. You always did. I hope you found happiness. From the book, it sounds like you have. That makes me glad. Not because I want credit, I don't deserve any, but because you deserve to be happy, and I'm the one who tried to take that from you. Thank you for telling our story honestly, even when it made me look terrible. I was terrible. I needed to be held accountable. Your book did that. I won't contact you again. I just needed you to know you were right to walk away. And I was wrong about everything. Jordan. Maya read it twice. Then a third time. She waited for the anger, the vindication, the satisfaction of knowing he finally understood what he'd done. But she felt nothing. Just a distant, mild sadness for the man he'd been and the woman she'd been, and how badly they'd both handled love. She typed a response. Jordan, thank you for this. I appreciate the apology, though I want you to know I didn't need it. I made peace with what happened a long time ago. I hope you found your way to being a better person. Not for me, for whoever comes next in your life. They deserve your best self. I deserved it too, but we can't change the past. I'm happy, truly happy. Not because of anything you did or didn't do, but because I chose myself and built something real from the wreckage. I wish you well. Really. But this is goodbye. Maya. She hit send and closed her laptop. Outside her office window, Washington, D.C. sparkled in the afternoon sun. Sarah was picking her up in an hour for dinner. They'd been together for 18 months now, taking it slow, building trust, learning how to love without fear. Maya's second book was due to her editor next month. Not a memoir this time, but a guide for women navigating divorce, co-written with 3 therapists and a financial planner. Life was full. Good. Hers. Jordan's apology, sincere as it was, didn't change anything. Didn't add anything. Didn't heal anything that wasn't already healed. It was just the final period on a sentence that had ended 2 years ago. Maya stood, stretched, and returned to her blueprints. She had a community center to design, a girlfriend to love, a life to live. The past was finally, completely behind her. And the future? The future was unwritten, unbroken, and entirely her own. Thank you so much for watching my story all the way to the end. Your support means everything. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts.